Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to almost 50% of first marriages. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Divorce Happens, a podcast to educate, inspire, support, and yes, make you laugh through divorce and beyond so that you can start fresh on the next phase of your journey. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh.
You'll get divorced. You'll get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce.
You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Divorce Happens, the podcast where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, a little bit of laughter, because as we know, divorce happens and then you start fresh. And we're here with one of my favorite experts over at Fresh Starts, Dr. Susan Trotter. Susan, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. Thank you, Olivia, so much for having me. I always love connecting and chatting with you. So I am a relationship coach. I started my career as a clinical psychologist. I practiced as a therapist for over 20 years and then shifted to coaching about a decade ago. I do a lot of different things in my practice, but I specialize in helping people who are in relationships and want to work on improving communication and connection. I also help people who are thinking about or going through divorce to help guide them in making a decision that's best for them and their family. And if it is divorce, helping them navigate that process with confidence and peace of mind. And then additionally, I have expertise in helping people who are single and dating, often post-divorce, learn how to set themselves up for success in dating and relationships and how to navigate the dating world both online and in person.
Yeah, and total full disclosure, Susan has been the recipient of many of my emails, late night emails, like, oh no, Susan, this person's texting me and I don't know what to respond. So we love Susan. There's so many questions that people have about dating after divorce, but I want to really hone in today on what we should be looking for in a partner, or even just, to start, I guess, thinking about the partner that we would like to have post divorce. So we're not going to talk about the where to find the person or all of that, but what are these qualities that we should be looking for? And obviously it's personal, but overall, we come out of a divorce. We're trying to figure out the next phase of our life. What should we be looking for, Susan?
Yeah, it's such a good question. So as I was preparing for the podcast, I was thinking about, what are some of those things that are specific to post-divorce dating? And then what is just more general for anybody who might be out there dating? Specifically for post-divorce, you really want to look for people who actually have taken some time after their divorce to self-reflect, to reconnect with who they are outside of that relationship, particularly for people who are in long-term marriages. But, no matter how long you might have been married, there are so many identity shifts and so many things to process when you get divorced, even if you were the one that initiated it. There are a lot of losses inherent in it. So I encourage people to take time to reflect and do that kind of work. Part of why that's so important is that history tends to repeat itself when we don't work through things. And so it's true in life in general, and it's certainly true when it comes to relationships. The divorce rate tends to go up for second, third, and fourth marriages. And part of the reason is this very fact that people aren't taking that time to reconnect with themselves, understand what they want and need now, how that might be different from what they wanted and needed when they first got married. Looking at what their part was in the dynamic, because we all play a part in every dynamic, and we need to evaluate whether or not those parts that we play are serving us well in relationships or not. And just doing the work so that you're setting yourself up to be as successful as possible in dating. So I encourage people who are out dating, thinking about dating post-divorce to do that work, and also to look for people who understand the importance of doing that kind of work. The other thing is, I hear a lot of people as they're going through divorce will start dating before their divorce is final. And I say this with no judgment. You're not as ready as you think you are. And it doesn't matter what the circumstances. People will say, well, we've been sleeping separately. The marriage has been over for a long time. And all of those things may be true. And it is a process. And again, even if you're the one that initiated it, there are all these changes that happen when you finalize a divorce and you really start that next chapter that you you just don't know until you get there.
Mm.
And so looking for people who are, again, more aware of the importance of those kinds of things and subsequently going to be more emotionally available.
I love that. I think what you said is super important too, about we each play a part, right, in the relationship. And it's not necessarily a negative part, right? Like even
Right.
I was in a not great, a very toxic marriage, and my part in that wasn't the toxicity, but it was the people pleasing, right? And
Mhm.
kind of the ignoring the red flags. And I could see how if I hadn't taken time to do that work, I would have easily ignored the same red flags over and over again. And I think the statistics are 50% of first marriages, it's 67% for second, and
Right.
75% of third
Right.
marriages. And I
Right.
think that you make such a good point about that. Um, what are some of the fun things we should be looking for in a partner?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, as you referenced at the beginning, we're all different, right? And not everybody is going to be the right person for you. So it's important to really, again, think about like, what do you really want and need now? Because that's going to be different from before. But in general, you want to find somebody who is empathic, who has the capacity to think about people, outside of themselves, and to be caring and kind. um Sense of humor goes a long way.
Mhm.
Life is full of challenges, and even the best relationships are going to have its challenges. And having a sense of humor is a way to kind of lighten that sometimes, and sometimes address the serious things in a way that allows you to work through it. um, I'm a big fan of integrity, kind of doing what you say, and doing what the kind of the right things to do even when no one's watching. I think there's
Yeah.
something to saying about that. Um, um, Again, self-awareness, good communication. I mean, it's
Yeah.
so obvious. And it's amazing, regardless of what age people are, how difficult it is sometimes to communicate, and to really understand
Yeah.
what are the ways to open up conversations. How are the words that you're using? I'm big on language. I think words are really powerful, whether we're using them in our self-talk or in conversation with
Yeah.
people, and including our partners. And so really paying attention to the power of your words, because even simple words like always and never can change the course of a conversation. If you come at your partner and you say, you never do blankety blank, it's automatically going to make them either get defensive or retreat. And it's
Mhm.
not going to open up the conversation. But if you say, sometimes when you do blank, it really upsets me, it changes the course of the conversation. So, looking for all these things. And the other thing I would say is, words are great. People can say all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And what we really want to look for is consistency. Does behavior, do words and actions match over time?
Right.
And the only way that you can know that for sure, no matter how connected you feel with somebody right away, is seeing them over time, having experiences with them over time. Because that's really how we know.
Yeah, I love that. And for anybody listening that is maybe a single parent, can you
Mhm.
give a little encouragement that there are people who are open to dating single parents out there?
Oh, 1,000%. As a fellow divorced person, who has been in the dating world, is now in a relationship. Um, Honestly, it was never an issue for me. There are plenty of people that are open to dating single parents. There are lots of people in that situation. Obviously, for those who don't have children, you have more freedom, right? So when you have children, there are different issues that need to be addressed. Paying attention to how you and the person you're dating talk about those things and how you work it out. If the other person also has children, then ideally there's more understanding of some of the challenges that come with being a single parent.
Yeah.
And even if they don't have children, they can also be understanding and open
Yeah.
to it. So, I will also say, people show us a lot of who they are early on, so it's really important to pay attention. I encourage my clients, and the people who attend my dating webinars, to be present and to be open, and also be an observer. Pay attention to behavior, pay attention to the words and actions matching or not. and so forth, and what people tell us and show us.
Yeah.
Because I think it's so easy. People want so much sometimes to be in a relationship, and it means we put on rose-colored glasses and we
Mhm.
miss sometimes some important signs. So really pay attention, good and not so good,
Yeah.
pay attention to what people are telling you through their words and their actions.
I like that. Like take like a zoomed out kind of look at it is important, which is it's really hard to do when you're like falling for somebody, but I
Yeah.
think it's really important. So Susan, how do you specifically work with people in this way?
Yeah. So, in terms of dating clients, I do different things. I can work with people on a very concrete, practical level and helping them develop an online profile if they want to do online dating and helping them get that set up and learn how to navigate it. I know online dating gets a bad rap, especially these days, and it is a crazy little world. And there is a way to approach it that can
Mm,
really set you up for success and help you to meet really good quality people, which is always my goal. Like there's a lot of riffraff on there. You want to just screen out the noise and
mm,
just really hone in on those that are really good quality people. And there's a way to present yourself and navigate that. So I help people in a concrete way, assessing profiles. I help people with messaging. I help them draft messages, figure out how to respond, what the
love that.
messages are saying, and so forth, and preparing for dates, etc. So, and then big picture, I also help people look at those issues, those patterns, those
Yep.
parts that they play, so that they don't repeat patterns that don't serve them very well. I have a lot of clients sometimes, especially post divorce, who will come to me and say, I don't see anybody good. They might be
Mhm.
on a site that has, thousands of people and
Yeah.
there's not one person they can find that they might be interested in.
Yeah.
Um, and and so sometimes we'll sit together and look at that, but just on some of it has to do with mindset and
Yeah.
confidence. But sometimes it has to do with patterns, like
Mm,
well, here's a really good person. Like what's keeping you from
yeah.
seeing the goodness in this person?
Yeah.
And why do you keep being drawn to this type of person that
Right.
actually hasn't been a good fit for you in the past?
Right.
So I work with people, as I said, kind of on a concrete level and then more high level as well. So we make sure to address everything.
Everything. Yeah, everything. I love it. So, Susan, if somebody's listening to this and they're going through a divorce or they're contemplating a divorce, what would be some words of wisdom you could leave them with?
Yeah. So I think about this a lot because divorce obviously is a really challenging life transition, one of the most stressful things people can go through because it impacts so many different parts of your life. And I think of divorce in many ways as an opportunity for us. When life is going along smoothly, we just go along for the ride. We don't
Mm,
really stop and think about it. It's only when we hit bumps in the road that we tend to pause, reflect. It's often when we reach out for help. Divorce is one of those bumps in the road, and it's a big one.
yeah.
And it is challenging. And it's also really an opportunity for people to reflect, to figure out what they want going forward, and to create something new and different, and perhaps even better and more beautiful for themselves.
I
And
love
it can
that.
feel hard to see that in the moment. And
Yeah.
I promise you that it can be that for people.
Mm,
I've certainly experienced it.
yeah.
And I've had so many people, clients I've worked with, and people I know in my personal life who have had that experience as well. So I
I love
encourage
that.
people to just hold on to that bit of hope when they might be in
Mm,
the midst of the struggle.
yeah. It's so hard, but there is hope there. There is.
Absolutely.
Well, we appreciate all of that. If you would like to work with Susan or listen to a podcast she's on or read one of the many press pieces she's in, you can go to Fresh Starts Registry and find Susan in the expert guide. Susan, we appreciate you so much. You're like our fairy godmother of dating over here at Fresh Starts. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much, Olivia. As I said, I loved always talking with you and appreciate the opportunity to be here. So thank you.
Divorce Happens is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the only divorce registry platform for everything you need to begin again, including home items, hype team, and everything in between. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh. We're here to support you before, during, and after divorce. Head to freshstartsregistry.com for more info.